Welcome to Brand You,
the ultimate personal branding podcast.
I'm Kaz Grant.
And I'm Toby Lee.
Together, we're here to help demystify personal branding
and to make it accessible and effective for everyone.
Follow along as we guide you through creating your own personal branding journeys.
So, let's get started.
Let's brand you. Hi everybody and welcome to the Brand You podcast. Today we've got another special guest for you all, and let me get the right name this time, which is hilarious, and we'll dive into this in a second. But we have Francesca, the owner of Future Cloud Accounting and one of the founders of Quirq. She is also co-host on the Couch to Calculator podcast. So welcome Francesca, not Fran.
Brilliant. Oh, I love this. Should we tell the story now? Or are we introducing Toby?
I think we should tell the story. So basically, I did an introduction. And bear in mind, I work with Francesca and have known her for a very long time. I did an opening that was Fran, the owner of Future Cloud. Yeah. We got to the end of it. And then Francesca was actually like, I actually prefer Francesca.
I did that. I was happy to keep it as Fran, as a point being, right, things stick with you as a kid. And I think once I embraced my business and embraced social media, I realised that I didn't like Fran. And I used to say Fran about myself. I used to refer myself as Fran. So it was my own kind of fault anyway. But then I just thought, no, my name's Francesca and I prefer it. But even now when I'm on a phone call, I'll answer it and they'll say hello and I'll say it's Francesca from Future, and I'm cringing because I'm thinking they're going to think who, and how bad's that? But I'm still trying to get into that because I just prefer Francesca.
Yeah, and it's just mad, isn't it? Because we're given. Yeah. I mean, my full name is Caroline, but I never use that. I use Kaz, and I prefer Kaz actually because Caroline's like if I'm being told off. But we gather these names along the way, don't we? And actually. It's so good that you've kind of said, I don't actually even like that. And let's change that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you associate it with your identity, don't you? So like you even just saying that your real name's Caroline, then I kind of like, it jars with me because I only know you as Kaz, and it goes with the whole pink shirt, bubbly character, you know. And same, I only know you as Fran from Kaz introducing you that way. You're stuck in there. Yeah. Francesca's a bit, who?
Yeah. See,
it's hilarious.
You can change if you want to, is my point. And I do remember school being called Cheska.
Oh, yeah.
So that's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that either.
That is interesting as well when we're talking about personal branding, because obviously, like, I'll go into it in a second and I'll ask you about your kind of background and what you do, but you've been personally branding now for quite a while. And again, it's like what people have known you as along the way. And it's all right to pivot and change direction sometimes and actually have a bit of a rebrand and do it because again, like married names, you've changed, your surname's changed as well. So actually at those points, why not have a bit of a complete dig up?
Exactly.
Love it. So first of all then, can you share a little bit about yourself and kind of what it is, what do you do, and a bit more of who are you? Great.
Yeah, so I launched a business about 5.5 years ago now, which was the most scariest thing I've ever done, but incredible. I've always loved the idea of business, getting in there. And I also like the idea of becoming an accountant. I started training when I was like 25. I had 2 small kids. And my reasoning behind that, because I sat one day and thought, what do I want to do with my life? Seriously, what am I going to do? And I thought, right, I know. I'm going to be an accountant because everyone needs an accountant. I think that's going to, every business needs it. And I also thought, and everyone gets an impression of an accountant in a bad light. I wonder what they are like. I need to get in there and figure this out. So I started off by going back to college, and it took me 2 attempts, but I was desperate to get my dream role in practice, which was the local firm, which is a top 30 firm. And I went into a corporate business and I learned all the ropes to do all the cloud accounting because that was quite new then. And I also thought that I could do things differently and even better, even though I wasn't like the professional, as in speaking. I'm like professional in my work, but I'm very informal as a person. And at times I had to put on this act when I was there. So it was very uncomfortable. So my vision was to run a business and build my confidence as a single mother. And so I've ticked that off. Then I wanted to build a team that I can help train and nurture and be that informal accountant. So I'm ticking that off. So 5.5 years later, I've got an amazing team and I want to build on that. And I also wanted to build on social media, how an accountant could look like, and build clients through it. And that's kind of where that side of things started. And then as I realized, putting myself online, it was called personal branding because people were whispering about it. It's not a massive thing out there now, but it's obviously it's getting bigger. So I thought that's where the other business, Quirq, came in. And that was 2.5, 3 years in the making prior to even launching that. And the same with Future Cloud. That was years in the making of building me up first before knowing how to sell it, market it. And, and it's a lot of it's coming from passion.
In a nutshell. I love that. And do you know what? I even before we were working together, so I think we met probably about 8 years ago at networking.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. Yeah.
Kind of stayed in touch from there. And again, through social media. And then when I needed an accountant, I was like, you are the first person I'm going to go to, because I do not want to, I will feel stupid going into a corporate office speaking to these old boys club like it looked like from the outside. I want to go to somebody who is a bit more like me, and actually I would have a great chat with as well, and a coffee, and just won't make me feel stupid, won't make me feel like an idiot, will help me with my account still and give me good advice. But so it's really powerful actually when you do that, isn't it? And you show up as yourself.
Yeah, it's been an incredible experience. It's not been easy. Like, there's not many women that I've noticed that own businesses or in the accounting industry, like really get to the top. Especially if you've got kids as well. It's like, I thought, no, if I want to prove that it can happen. And then I want to inspire others to do more and believe in themselves more. So whether that is promoting themselves online and shouting about what they do. I had a meeting this morning and I was like, why are you not talking about that and inspiring others? That's how I reframe it for them. You're inspiring others by talking about yourself, because it is cringy. I still cringe at some of my posts. I bet you're the same, Toby, aren't you? Now I've seen your LinkedIn post coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always that little bit of bite in them of like, don't really like sort of sharing this part about me. But at the same time, when you kind of put the focus on the purpose of why you're saying it, it is to tell people about you, because, if they don't know about you, then where do you go from there? You're not going to gain any interest. Something that I kind of admire that other people do is that balance of bringing in more personal interests and hobbies into things, which is something I'm still sort of trying to do. But I at the moment, I enjoy talking about myself within work. But I'm probably missing out on opportunities there, and I encourage other people to go do it. But as soon as you align with mutual interests, and we could chat all day about Hyrox and training for something like that, and that's something that we've probably bonded over on a outside of the professional side of things. I'm now a client of yours as well, so it's it kind of those things are so valuable for starting conversations, aren't they?
100%. And I do remember it took a lot. So when I first started, let's go back to then when I started posting initially. So when I worked for Duncan & Topless in the corporate world, I'll call it, just for anyone listening that don't understand what I mean by that, because corporate's still got a bit of a stigma around it. And I do think that's going to change in the future. I think corporate's going to actually disappear as a word in itself. And that's just me predicting because of what I like as a company and our values and whatnot. But I started posting on Twitter, and I remember posting quite fun content around where I worked. And I do remember feeling a little bit embarrassed, thinking, what they're going to think of me posting on there. So I already had that social side that I wanted to bring on social media, which many weren't doing on Twitter back then. Then when I left, I was hovering around on LinkedIn and looking at how it works. So I was a lurker for a long time, taking it all in. And I thought, I know where my angle's going to go with this, and I'm going to try this. And I remember saying out loud to Charlotte at the time, I'm going to post a car video, and I'm just going to say about what I'm doing as a business. So where I'm going, what apps we are using, because as soon as you start talking about Zero, for example, or an app that I'm using, then you get in the relatable listeners, and the ones that you want to listen are your buyers, aren't, and even vendors and suppliers, actually, because you can get discounts in the future. They want you to do a shout out. That's all. That can happen as well. So I started talking about networking events, tagging people, like building a community online. But prior to that, let's not forget that I did do a lot of networking years before that. That was what I did a lot of. I don't do that as much now. So I already built up my confidence through face-to-face networking, because I find that really hard and almost forced, if I'm really honest, when you go and you stand up and you do your minute and you're saying where you work, and no one really going to buy in just because you've done a 1 minute talk on a table. In my opinion, you've got to get to know people in a more social environment. So this is why I had to change tact on all this, because social media is your network, to be honest. And so I started doing my car videos. I went to Lincoln Networking. I did this. I pushed myself to talk about what we're doing as a business, is in accounts wise or tax wise. And then that's when I started getting inboxes from clients to meet up and let's talk about, I've heard of Zero, I want to hear more about it. I've heard of Dext and all. So that's kind of where I started. But what happened was lockdown happened within 10 months of being in business, which is the scariest year of my life, I'm not going to lie. And I thought, right, I'm going to up my game. I'm going to start inspiring as many people as possible by doing challenges on videos and sharing them on LinkedIn. And that is where my following went crazy. 2021 to 2022 was mental, because I was sharing value stuff, but I was making people smile and laugh and daring to do what others weren't willing to do. And that's what got the eyes on me. Especially, I was willing to go live with other business owners, which gained traction in that year. But I also did a pre-video before I went live of me dancing to music and saying, right, this song, this, and then I was known as DJ Fran, obviously Fran, not Francesca, but DJ Fran. And I think you've got to stand out with any business you do. You've got to stand out. And this is why Quirq is a great name, because everyone's got something quirky about them. And it's not a personality trait as such. Well, it is. Yeah, it probably is a personality trait. It's not I just play behind the scenes. I do a part run or I play a guitar. It's not just about that. It's about me saying I've got a bit of OCD with something, and then someone goes, "Oh, I got that. Oh, yeah, I do that." Or I like every tab open on my laptop. Share more of that, but that's the stuff that's uncomfortable to share.
Yeah, but it's the relatability, isn't it? Like you say, you're building the relationships and the connections with the people that would want to work and do business with you. So was there any particular kind of tipping point that you thought, wow, I'm showing up online and this is starting to work now and I'm generating leads from this? Was there a sort of a moment, or was it all mixed up in that pandemic era and it just kind of happened then, or was it before then?
It was before the pandemic. Before the pandemic was amazing, as well as during the pandemic. Because I remember someone saying to me, and I won't say who, but there was "Oh, do you think we're going to have to going to lose loads of business?" And I was like, "No." I literally rang every client. I remember doing a track in my garden, and I had this, where your grass goes down, because I've done a track. So I'd be on the phone checking in. Our customer care had to go up. That's the way I dealt with it. And then I was online a lot, just reminding people we're still here, we're still here. And I thought, I'm not going to hide away, because I won't let this virus beat me. I was so determined to make it still work. I was willing to do whatever it takes. And you've got to have that resilience in the business, or when you are starting a business, as you know, Kaz, you've got to be so determined to make it work that you're really willing to go uncomfortable and grab what you can and inbox people and be brave. And to be honest, I've never done target marketing as such. But naturally, I think you want to work with people. So I'm looking at influencers and fitness industry for clients. So I'll talk about that side of things more. So then they're looking and you think, and it's all about building communities as well. So the first couple of years was absolutely really overwhelming. Like I would have been on social media hours, because you have to be. You can't just do a quick post and run it. And if you've got to have time for it. And I get you've got other things to do, like you've got to do your headshots and make time for the technical stuff. I get that. And if you can't have time, outsource it, as what they say. But we haven't got loads of money, do you know? I get all that, but I did evenings, weekends if I had to. No one knew. Not even people that worked in Future Cloud would understand the work I did outside of the typical, because I didn't want to be your typical 9 till 5 anyway. And that's my progression to where I've got to now. So with social media marketing and stuff like that, you've got to be willing to put the time in. You can't just do a post and then run off and think, oh yeah, I've done my bit for the day. You've got to put a lot of, I was engaging, liking all the stuff that you've got to do.
Yeah. You've got the money and you pay for somebody else to do it, or you knuckle down and you do some of that alongside. And I think myself, like sometimes it doesn't feel like work to be doing that side of it anyway, sometimes. So actually I don't mind personally blending some of that in. And I think you've asked before, Toby, about like showing up all the time online, like how do you have the time to do it, and do you ever get burnt out with it? But I think the more you start doing, the more it comes kind of naturally to you anyway, because you're like, oh, I did this thing anyway in life, I took a photo, I popped it on my stories, I did whatever, and I update. So you almost, the more you do,
it's building the habit.
Yeah, I think what's interesting as well is that I remember when I asked you that question, Kaz, it was also along the lines of, when you arrive somewhere in person, you're exactly as you are online. Whereas some people will go, I need to put a video out, I'm going to put my best smile on, my best face. And then you can guarantee when they stop recording, they probably go, whoa, thank God that's over. But actually keeping up those appearances, it actually has to become part of you and your lifestyle, doesn't it? And we even said it on our other podcast with Rebecca, that your messaging has to be the same that you're putting out on your video as it is when you meet someone in person. As everything you do, it has to run through everything, doesn't it? To be authentic.
Yeah. And Francesca, I think you're good at this because, again, like I was listening to your Couch to Calculator before coming on this, actually. And there was a point that you were talking about, like, no makeup and doing things like that. Again, like how many people won't go online because they're not perfectly put together and formed, whereas actually we've just got to get over some of this stuff and get on when we haven't got our makeup and our hair's not done and whatever. So it's things like that as well, isn't it?
100%.
So, Francesca. I thought I got away with it then, but it was way too big of a pause. It didn't work. In terms of like your lead generation then, is that coming through things like DMs and that, or are there other avenues that you do attract business? Because I think obviously if we're talking about the appeal of why you might want to focus on your personal brand, it is that, isn't it? Your Future Cloud, you've got business pages, but actually how much of the bulk interaction or start of conversations comes through your personal channels?
Oh God. So we decided probably 6 to 12 months in, I started doing a bit of a tracker. LinkedIn, is it from Facebook? Is it from, to be honest, it was from referrals as well through my old networking, but a lot is from LinkedIn, like a lot. And it is more saturated now. But I've also changed the way I do my social media from when I started. So at the beginning, I spoke a lot about apps and where I'm going, like software and accounting stuff. And then I realized, I thought about the personal branding side. So I need to be sharing more about me and that sort of stuff to get good engagement. But now I've got a balance. So I'm bringing in different like tax stuff back in. And I do think you do need a mix of stuff out there. But I also think that if you are going to put yourself out there with what you're doing, one, you've just got to be consistent. But two, it's the value stuff. People believing in why they're going for a headshot and what you do differently and the person you are to make them feel as comfortable as possible. Share that a lot of, because you still need to share that. I don't want you just saying about your dog and Hyrox. Obviously, Hyrox, because the reason why Hyrox works for me, one, I love fitness and it's relatable. But Steve, my husband, he makes money out of doing that as well. Like, we ain't just doing it just for the fun of it. You've got to try and be savvy. But I also think it's great to share it because, like you say, Toby, you saw that I did Hyrox. We had the messaging, and it's, you know, it's a great community. So I did track it and realised, a lot from LinkedIn. But I am trying to not, with my business, because I'm changing tact, to the leads come to me. So this is a massive change, and I'm still looking into all the things that we're doing, and it's exciting times. But I've changed it slightly because it's a lot all coming to me.
That's interesting. Because I was going to ask, what is the balance between the focus as a business on your individual profiles? Because I'm assuming, do your staff also focus on their own personal brands, or is it very much you're the face?
I'm the face, and you know what? Again, I got told when I kept saying more people need to be on social media, and they're like, no, and I can change this now. It's interesting because you have to make time for your team to do these things, and where is their best time? So we do need the technical accountants to do stuff, but we can help get them online. But they were still nervous about it. People still overthink and question whether they should share it. They're scared. Too many people are scared to share, and I think it's going to get bigger and bigger. So it's inevitable. We are landing pages. Websites are probably going to move away. I think if they search Future Cloud, the younger generation, they're looking on our Instagram. So we've got to be active on there. LinkedIn, all the landing pages are going to be social media and TikTok, YouTube Shorts. I don't think our kids are looking at websites, but that's my prediction.
That's interesting.
And what is it like? Nothing that you start at the start of anything is easy or not scary or anything. So going into a job on day one is scary. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know who your team is. Going and opening a business and starting a business is scary. Going networking is scary. Sending cold outreach is scary. Whatever you're doing is scary. Just do the scary things sometimes, isn't it? And actually get scared and be scared and get out of that comfort zone a little bit and expand it, because that's where the gold lies, for yourself and your own fulfillment, but also then for your business and work and, climbing the ladder and stuff like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to think ahead a lot in business as well and plan ahead. I'm doing so we took on a digital marketing apprentice last year. It was one of my dreams to do that. Again, I thought about it 2 years before, and it was only till last year that I could do it. And it's been a massive experience, me looking after someone really just close to me. Whereas when you build a team, you do have other people that can help manage the team. That's how I've built it. But this time it was I need to put my money where my mouth is. I've never done marketing before. I'm literally winging this, and I'm not scared to say it, but I will change and adapt as we evolve. So we are tracking more of what's going on, and we have had so we still get website inquiries that come through, which I get excited about, or someone ringing up the office phone. And you can usually tell the ones that are the older generation and the younger generation and where things are coming through. But having a marketing apprentice, I think that's not many accountancy practices will go down that road straight away. And I've wanted to do it for ages, probably even I wanted to build a business that I don't necessarily do the doing, and not many accounting firms can do that within 5 years. I was doing it probably a year to 2 years prior. It's a build up. And I'm so with having a marketing, I think more businesses will need that marketing support, whether it is one person in your business that's doing the personal brand stuff, putting their name out there, business development stuff, should we say, and then marketing your business brand as well, because they should go hand in hand, but personal brand needs to drive to your business brand. And I know I've done it. So I've done, built the following. And to be honest, I get a dopamine hit when I get a lot of likes. How bad's that? Gets to the point where I was obsessed. I get obsessed with Hyrox. When I say I'm going to do something, I get obsessed until I get the result I want. So I've had to stop chasing that dopamine. And, you'll get that once you get excited about it. You're checking, oh God, that got 3 likes. What the hell am I doing? That's a bit crap. That's really put me in a bad mood today.
Underperforming.
Yeah, I'm underperforming today. Damn, let's go again tomorrow. But that's what you got to say. Go again tomorrow. Try something different.
Yeah.
Be willing to.
And I always say on the stats, don't I? Zoom out. Like, because sometimes it is disheartening. You're not going to get a consistent upward like thing in anything. So again, it's like zoom out. If you're having one that you're like, oh, put my heart and soul into that, I thought that was going to go amazing. Zoom out. Is it increasing a little bit? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
It's going up over time. Yeah. Because it's so funny.
It's interesting. Like, I can see why people are worried about doing it. I definitely can, but I also think you've just got to just stick with it. Definitely just stick with it, be consistent. Some are going to flop. I remember one, I think it was like my 37th birthday one, I think, a couple of years ago. And I'm sure it had like 3,000 likes and loads, and I think it was sharing all the things I've done in the last 10 years or something like that. And I like inspiring others, but that's when I was so active on LinkedIn. So it just shows you've got to keep being active. And I know the content creators that do well out there do spend hours, but then you think, well, how am I going to get my work done? But that's why you need support.
Yeah, absolutely. And balancing it. Yeah. So have you found any particular content forms or anything performing better for you than others? Like, when we're thinking, is it videos do better for you? Is it the short videos, longer videos? Is it because you have a lot of content, and I know it's going to be different for different platforms. So Hyrox will be a bit different to Future Cloud stuff and things like, and your personal brand will be different to the business account. But is there anything that sticks out to you at the moment that you think that's what drives the most leads or the most conversations that I then get leads from?
I think the video content. I've done video content now on LinkedIn for 5.5 years, and I've stuck with it. And I think that's great, because then I'll see someone going, you need to start creating videos still, seeing that. And I'm like, how can they still be? I think it does, because people like to see who they're talking to, I suppose, a familiar face. But honestly, it's definitely not easy, but with if you can get a video, even if it's once a week, put one out there, or do a video but never share it. That's what I practice. And I used to stutter, or I remember one video going out and I watched it back and I thought, oh, I've got a bit of lipstick on my tooth by the end of it, And I thought, no, stuff it. I'm just putting it out there. Who cares? And it's stuff like that. And I remember even getting gigs to speak at events, right? I never thought I'd speak at an event. I thought it would be the last thing I'd ever do. It's the most scariest thing. And the guy on the panel asked me, he says, oh, yeah, we see your videos and we notice that you don't wear makeup on some of them. And I thought, but I think that's brilliant that he asked that, because obviously I was talking to other accountants that wanted to do more social media stuff for their business. And I was so nervous to do a barefaced video or photo. But then I just thought, I don't know, I just really wanted to keep going with it and just be real, because there's so many fakes out there. And I just think people know.
Yeah. And it's that inspiring thing again, isn't it? That part of the jigsaw, because by you showing up as you and not wearing makeup, you give others permission to do that as well. And how nice is that, to empower, like, people have been forced to, been told that they need to cover up, they need to be perfect, they need to wear this certain stuff, and you need to have this certain lipstick on in this company and this. And actually, no, it's nice to inspire people to think a bit differently and to think outside the box and be like, no, do you know what? Done is better than perfection.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just
and also, go on.
No, you go.
No, I was going to say, especially in the professional services, I think more solicitors, lawyers, like other accountant females as well, coming through on social media would be amazing, because that's the bit that's made it more interesting, because people are like, oh, an accountant doing like dance on social media, or talking so freely about how to save tax. Oh, can't believe she's saying that. Like, oh, don't tell, And I just think that's why I do it as well. I think it's, I just want more people to do it, basically.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a better place, wouldn't it? Like, if you were meeting people in person that you already had a good idea of whether they're your person for a start. Like, we all bond with different people and we get a vibe of different people. And similarly, how many people are closing the door on opportunities because, you know, they don't necessarily write very exciting posts, or they don't deliver any personality in their content if they share any at all. You know, I can think of quite a few people that I've met them, and they've been far more enthusiastic and, you know, energized than I thought they would be from just following them on LinkedIn or something. And then from there, I've created a bit of a relationship with them, you know, and there's a lot of missed opportunities going, isn't there?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I bet, Toby, do you follow anybody in your field that you think's got a great online presence that you think, oh, they must be smashing it?
Yes and no. Like, I find it a weird one. I find those that are really successful, have a successful following in photography, will be down more the educational route of delivering stuff for other photographers. I haven't really found anyone that's demonstrating how your personal brand can actually get you better leads and connections and so on. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know why. I don't know why that is. But yeah, but I've certainly, you know, I know a lot of my work comes from either my in-person networking or word of mouth, you know, being online, showing up, or referrals. And sometimes that worries me, that I think, you know, if I was to have a bit of time off or go away for a while, or couldn't for whatever reason keep that up, where does my work go? Which little side question that we hadn't quite planned, but in terms of you know, we've talked about your personal brand being the kind of face of Future Cloud and where that goes. What's the next step for you long term? So when you look to either exit the business or move on, what happens to kind of Future Cloud then, in terms of, because you are the USP essentially, because your personal brand is so strong and has been so effective? It's almost like, it's interesting to know what your thoughts might be on that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, that question. And it's a good question because I've said, like, for the last few years, I've tried to step away from getting the leads and do more value-driven content. I still get the leads, and I don't think people necessarily come straight through me. Still people come through the website because they'll look all over social media, or then they'll go to the website, depending on what they're looking for. Future-wise, I think sometimes you can do enough as a brand. So many people are still ringing up saying so-and-so's referred because they've seen you online and what you're doing. But I also think that's why you've got to have that business side to it as well. And also, that is something on my mind with getting a business development. So not necessarily being me, that's where you're scaling up, and that's where you're doing different things. We're only 5 years young, so watch this space. But I have thought about it.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. And I've mapped it out. I think you need to map out your plans when you come into what your business is doing. So for the last year, I've had that many change within Future Cloud. It's been like, it's rattled me. It really has. But thank God for my personal brand, put it that way. I'm so glad that I've brought in every single client, and that is a very unique, you know, selling point. And as long as they get looked after, but it's not necessarily by me, which is great, that, you know, the people I'm bringing on are still, so I've had people say they're watching me on social media, want to work with us. So that, and they know what I'm like, and this, that, the other. So that's another bonus. I just think it's, it is going to be a challenge to find someone that can do the business development side. And I didn't realise, so I've been doing some content around business development. And it's interesting because I thought I've learned a lot by doing it myself. And that's probably my aim at the beginning of Future Cloud, was interesting. So I think I just need that type of person within Future Cloud. It's similar to my personality. And you always think you're not going to find someone that cares as much as you do. I found them within the team already.
Yeah.
Which is great feeling now. I've got, you know, and I've had to kiss a few frogs when it comes to the team to get here.
Yeah.
But I'll keep going again and learning and adapting again. We'll have to try something else this time.
But I guess that's where your personal brand can come into effect as well, though. Like, you're not just generating leads from it and things. Actually, some of the extra benefits might be your perfect team finds you via your perfect personal brand. And I'm just curious to think, like, is there, beyond lead generation, what do you think you've got from your personal brand over all these years?
being invited on podcasts. That's an amazing experience. Like this one, that speaking events, meeting great new friendships. Like I want to be around women, let's say, and guys that are doing better than me. And I didn't realize that I can do that through social media, and I'm doing that so I can get to where I need to get to. And that is one thing that stops many people. They will stay in the same circles and help everybody else, but no one's helping them because they just, well, for me personally, moving away from certain friendship circles that I always gave. So I don't even know what the original question was. I always go off on tangents, don't I?
It's good. It's some of the things that you've got from personal branding that maybe isn't the general need. I mean, friendships and collaborations.
Team members, friendships. Team members, friendships, events that I go to. And I like the fact that I get sponsorships now because I've got a good following. So people pay, like, for example, to sponsor a LinkedIn Live or a podcast. That's been incredible. I'm now a director and trustee of the AET, which is where I studied, which is something I never dreamed that I would be on the board, because I thought there's no way they'd want me on there. But actually, in our heads, it sounds scary and hard, but it's not when I'm there. I've actually got a lot to say and a lot I can bring to the table. And that's down to my experience. Just those things, really. I've done lots of charity. I'm just adapting and evolving all the time. I know this is going to sound really daft, and I'm going to say it out loud because that's what I'm like. I want to go on telly for something else. I've been on telly before, but they're cringy dating programs. But I actually want to go back on the telly for something. I like the idea of more people knowing who I am. Is that really bad? Really show offy?
No.
I wonder what that comes down to. I wonder what that is.
Middle child syndrome? I don't know. I just like it.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it a sense of pride that comes from being recognised for things, or?
I don't know, because it's not I wasn't like this back in 2019. I'd have been far too scared to say half of the stuff I do now. Even now, sometimes I'll share a post and go, "Oh God, I think I'm going to delete that. I need to delete that." An hour later, I'm still thinking about it, but I have to just keep reminding myself it's fine. I don't know where it comes from, but I also think you should be able to say stuff like that, and it's okay. You're allowed to say, "I want it on telly. I want people to know who I am, and I'm proud of who I am, and I need to share my achievements so it encourages others."
So again, it's the inspiration piece, really, isn't it? So TV is a step up. More people will see you. More people will be inspired as well, isn't it? Like the reach of that inspiration. And
because I've got a backstory. I've definitely got a backstory, and actually, I didn't realize how hard it has been. So when you hear other people's stories, and I'm sat thinking, shit, I had it hard. But I never used to say about it. It took me ages to share little stories on LinkedIn. I've done it slowly, and now I absolutely love it because I own it. Like even saying, what did I say? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I stopped getting tax credits, for like child support. I was a single parent. The guts it took me to write those words, because I was embarrassed that I was even on it, working at an accountancy firm, getting support. I felt so embarrassed for a long time, and also living in a rough area, but I bought my house. So I had to do that for 5 years or 7 years. But then I ended up renting it out for a couple of years, making money on it and selling it. And I made a good amount, but being embarrassed of where I lived. And it's like, oh my God. Share those stories.
Share, because we're all humans and we're all going through these things. And actually there's power in knowing that other people are going through them, but still moving forward and making things a success and doing well. Like there's no barriers to all of that. As long as you don't feel there is. If you're stuck and you're not watching inspirational people and soaking up this stuff, you will be stuck and you'll never move past that, and you'll never make anything of yourself either. But it's, the world's out there, isn't it? You can make changes, you can grow, you can develop. Love all of this.
I do.
Yes, Toby.
I could sense you about to wrap up, and I've got one more question.
Go for it.
Please.
Yeah.
No, I'd just be interested to know, Francesca, again, that feels weird saying your full name, sorry. In terms of like, from first impressions, whether it's on your videos that you share or even just chatting to you now, you're clearly so comfortable in your own skin, and going off what you're just saying about owning those stories and messages that you share about yourself. And just like popping onto LinkedIn, you've got 57,000 followers. For those that are starting out on some sort of personal branding journey or wanting to build that, what would be your advice to kind of, if anyone's got any anxiety or just don't know where to start in terms of building that confidence?
Where did I start? Like I said earlier, I think briefly I said it about practicing a video and don't even sending it out. And also a little tip, I talk on video like I've got an audience there. And that, I didn't realise I was doing that until someone said, you always talk like you're talking to me individually. I'm like, really? And I didn't realise I was doing that. So maybe start talking on a video about your day as such, but don't have to send it out. You're going to... I never watched them back probably for a long time. I didn't like to watch it back, if I'm really honest. And some people don't like the way they look and things like that, and put themselves down, which is such a shame. But you don't have to do a selfie. You can there's some people out there on LinkedIn especially that can write a good post without a picture whatsoever. But that post has got to be really good, really valuable, really punchy, bit cheeky. There's someone that write good that are really cheeky and like witty in it. So if you don't want to share pictures, but also the power of Instagram stories is a good place to start, to be honest, because it's like a snippet and it goes away after 24 hours anyway. So maybe start doing Instagram, if you're on Instagram, doing a bit of Instagram stories, and don't even have to put your friends and family in it if you really don't want to. That's what people don't like. When you start on your social media, you'll be straight away thinking, what if my ex-boyfriend see it, my mate down the road, because they're going to cringe hard. And I've had people take the piss out of me. My sisters, look what you said. They don't do it now. That's the society, and we've all. I'm a big piss taker, so I know what it's like. But I own it now. I'm like, yeah, I know I said that. It's funny, innit? And I just move on quick. That's the biggest factor. What puts people off is that fear of someone that sees it. Well, I don't remember her being like that, and so like dramatic or whatever, because on your growth journey, you will have to either let go of those people or just keep talking to yourself and getting reassurance from yourself that I want to post this and why. Yeah. Give yourself the reason why about I want to build a business one day. So I'm going to start sharing about who I am. We've got a client that shared posts. He was employed, right? He did LinkedIn in his spare time for 3 years, right? So he's obviously thinking, and he built a following. He did fun videos, did posts, and then he started his own business 3 years later as a LinkedIn like ghostwriter and social media. I'm speaking to him on Friday actually. And you just have to like start. And I think he was embarrassed. LinkedIn's probably a great place to go actually, because your friends and that are all on Facebook still, aren't they? Or Instagram following you. Set up a new Instagram, have a practice on it, a hidden one. So many people tell me I've got a hidden Instagram, but I don't really want to do it. Well, do it before someone else does it before you. Do you know? Get in there while you can, because it's definitely. What do you guys think? Do you think, is it just me in this dream world or something? But is influencers going to be the new celebrities? What do you think?
I think it is going to be the top form of advertising, of getting yourself out, because it's in our control. So like before, to have an advert on the TV for anything, you just have to pay so much money. Now you can create your own TV channel on YouTube, which is a search engine, which I'm not being funny, but all of the young kids today, they're not watching TV. They're on YouTube, aren't they?
Yeah, they're on YouTube.
Do you think if they're on YouTube, they're your future customers, clients, whatever, team members, everything, like, again, like showing up on there now while you're uncomfortable.
I know, and they've got adverts. Their content, YouTube gives the adverts. What do you think, Toby? What do you think the future holds for like TV influencers?
I think it's really interesting time, because we're already seeing through influencers, I'm using my fingers as inverted commas, because there's that top band, isn't there, of we identify it as it's not real, it's not achievable, this lifestyle that these people are living on Instagram and that. So I feel like there's going to be like a new wave, which is where there's authenticity coming through with personal brands, and they're the ones we start following. And I think it will be entrepreneurs, athletes, those kind of people that are using it for good. And I think we're already starting to not really buy into those that are, endorsing brands and throwing, certain products down our throat. Is it the guy that I'm trying to think, is it the Brewdog guy or somebody who's trying to create that platform, or may have already started that
James? Is it James somebody? James what?
It's using real people to kind of endorse products and give, sort of real life testimonials, rather than going to those that have got a massive following, but it's just not real. They're doing it because they've been asked to do it and they're getting paid to do it, it's a real interesting moving world, but
Yeah, because I also know that if you get loads of likes, they don't necessarily get you clients. There's a lot more to it than just, you've got loads of likes with a selfie. And you see it on LinkedIn, you think, oh, God, they're just doing it for the wrong kind of attention sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah. It's got to be to your ideal audience, and those ideal audience are going to be engaging with it, and engaging, not just liking and stuff. And actually, don't you find that a lot of the time leads actually come from the lurkers? Like, it's not people that are liking your posts or engaging or having the conversations on there. It's actually the people that you didn't even know existed online that are like, pop up DMs. So that's quite interesting as well, isn't it? So again, don't be put off audience-wise by that.
And people try and rush it. They try and rush the likes by getting in these pods or something. There's pods on LinkedIn. There's one girl that I follow, and I don't know what followers she's got, maybe 40,000. She gets thousands of likes on her repeated posts. And I'm thinking, you're in a pod. She gets that, there's something going on with it. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake. And it makes you question, and that's probably what puts a lot of people off, your ability. You think, well, hang on a minute, how have they got thousands on, and she's got less following? But I'm still looking at that thinking, but there are talks of these big pods going around where you can buy followers and likes, and all these people just come on your posts and say the same thing on it just so it looks like you're popular. But even then, that's not going to get you loads of clients.
No, and I think there's an energy. We all give off energies, and we all give off energies online as well. And again, this is where I know, like, the word authenticity comes through. People can tell they have this like resistance to some of the fakery and some of the stuff. People are attracted to you, Francesca, because you are you. And I meet you in person, you're the same as you are online, and you're not going to give us any BS and all this other stuff. And you're going to help when you can help. And it's these real humans that we want to bond with. And you cannot fake that online. If you fake it, people instantly notice. So that's why you got to be real. Just put yourself out there, even if that means that post, that video gets 5 likes, not your millions.
It doesn't matter.
Those 5 likes could be your best clients, or they could refer you on to 5 other people. So so interesting.
Follow people that inspire you. Like, I love Joe Wicks, and I really want to meet him one day. So another thing, TV and Joe Wicks. So I could keep going about things, when they come to my brain. But Joe Wicks, right, you can see he's true himself, and he'll post and he'll share stuff about him and his family that gets you all like, because that's personal. But then he'll share stuff that's, join me on a workout on Sunday morning live at 8 a.m. and he still does that stuff as well. And I think that's just the perfect blend. But he's had to graft by doing a lot of technician work at the beginning and sharing what he does. And then he can outsource it and get the support. So you have to do a lot of free time at the beginning. And that's what people aren't willing to do, I think. And that's the bit that's the hard. Marketing is harder than what people think. Oh, she's just prancing around. I mean, it is hard. It's not, and I'm going to put it out there. Don't look at me and go, oh God, she makes it look so easy and just finds it easy. My brain, I feel like I've done a heavy day when I've done my work, and my work is social media sometimes. So just bear that in mind when people think you just make it look easy. it's meant to feel uncomfortable and it's meant to feel hard, but it does get easier. Just keep reminding yourself of that, and think of your why. What's your end result?
Yeah, those are so good points. I think this whole podcast has been absolutely brilliant today, actually. So we always leave our listeners with an actionable step for them to do. Now, we've talked about a lot of different things in this podcast today, but is there anything that kind of comes to mind that you'd say, right, when you've listened to this, go and do this, put it into place and go?
God,
is it the video? Go and practice
video. Do stories on Instagram. Start. I know what's an easy one, actually. If you want to go on LinkedIn, start engaging, like commenting on other people's posts first, and then, because that can feel uncomfortable. It took me like 6 months to dare to write a comment, because people can see your comments, can't they? And I had to keep reassuring myself. So comment small first, but then get meatier with your comments. Put your opinion across to somebody. That's quite important to do. Start liking more. See what people in your industry are doing. Follow your industry and collaborate. Go to industry events and stuff like that. And then you'll start coming up with ideas. Once you get the ideas, write a list of ideas. And then slowly build into doing your first post. And your first post could be simple as introducing yourself. A picture if you want or not, then build next time, do a picture. Just don't overwhelm yourself that I'm going to post 5 times a day and I'm definitely going to do this, because you won't do it. It's got to be habit forming slowly, if that helps.
Absolutely. Love that. Thank you so much, Francesca. This has been brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
So make sure you follow us and subscribe on Spotify and wherever you're watching the podcast, and check out the LinkedIn page that we have, the community page, Brand You, where you can join and ask any personal branding questions you might have. Feel free to reach out to Kaz and I as well with any questions you might have. Just pop them in a DM. Thank you again for Francesca for being on the show. There'll be more guest bonus episodes coming up as well, so make sure you keep an eye out for when they drop.
Here's to branding you.